Ivan van Sertima, may he rest in peace, is the father of pseudo-American Afrocentrism, who has made a career of claiming the Olmecs were founded by black Africans who sailed to the Americas before Columbus. He claims these black African Olmecs later influenced all large Native American cultures and civilizations. Over his lifetime, Van Sertima developed a massive inferiority complex due to Eurocentrism that has historically undermined black African and African American history. He also claims the achievements of ancient Native Americans, Chinese, and other Eurasian achievements as black creation. He created his own wild theories based on old outdated sources. He added his own pseudoscience and revisionist history theories as a means to validate his black supremacy narrative as a response to Eurocentrism. In the process of trying to validate his theories, he has literally undermined various Native American cultures. His work literally spawned next-generation Afrocentric culture vultures and pretendians. The history of Native America needs to be protected from pseudo-historians such as Van Sertima.
So I'm laying around here, and I start wondering, what makes ethnocentrics tick? Why is there such a great obsession with claiming who was who in ancient civilizations? And then it hit me. The vast majority of ethnocentrics usually come from parts of your culture that have nothing. White ethnocentrics usually come from poor white trash families or rural areas or people in deep economic trouble. Indigenocentrists usually come from the barrio, poor areas. I don't really see a lot of indigenous-centrism coming from indigenous populations living traditional ways. They're just content living with the way they live. Afrocentrists usually come from inner cities, uneducated, poverty-ridden, and if any of those climb out of what place they found themselves, they're already too brainwashed to change. But the fact is, in all societies, past and present, there will always be the haves and the have-nots. And if you're a have-not in this society, I'm not talking about having everything. I'm not talking about being the richest person in the world. But if you haven't accomplished anything through hard work, through being productive in society, giving back to the community, even if everybody in the world looked like you, and all the ancient civilizations you claim were people like you, were in existence today, you still would be a have-not. You still would be a parasite of society. And you'd still be oppressed. The only difference is that the oppressors would look more like you. But they would find some other reason to segregate you. Because you're a have-not. Because you didn't have the will to do anything with yourself. And in order to validate yourself, you obsess with ancient civilizations. Because the haves, even if they began poor, but through hard work, struggling, when they achieve stuff, they're proud of who they are. And they're not obsessed with ancient civilizations because they know what they're doing. The wannabes are the ones that are unhappy with the situation they have in life. So they dream of being kings and queens of ancient civilizations. But in those ancient civilizations, they would have still been serfs. They would have still been slaves. Because back then, there were other people just like them in every single one of those civilizations, wishing they were somewhere else and dreaming about how they came from some other great thing. Ultimately, ethnocentrics are wannabes. Want to be anything but who they are right now. So they try to claim some glory by affiliating themselves with some other civilization that has nothing to do with who they are today. And that is the reality.
While the intent of Afrocentrics is to build pride in their group that has been historically downtrodden and underrepresented by historians, these misleading claims end up overshadowing and downplaying the accomplishments of other peoples who have every right to be proud of their own ancestors' accomplishments. Furthermore, it takes away from legitimate research into African accomplishments, both in Africa, throughout history, and that of the African diaspora in the Americas, post-1492. Indigenous Americans are the proud recipients of this rich historical heritage, and deserve to have their heritage protected from historical dishonesty from ethnocentric groups trying to validate themselves at the cost of other people's heritage.
All these black aboriginals are really self-hating African Americans who wish to connect to Native American history rather than with their West African origins. It was Eurocentrists who first began to culture vulture on Native America. They claimed ancient remains such as Kennewick Man, which was debunked by the peer-reviewed studies of DNA and dental traits. The studies revealed that Kennewick Man is Native American. Following in the footsteps of Eurocentrists, these Afrocentric pretendians have picked up the mantle. This is all indigenous erasure. Black Americans are part of the black diaspora. They are direct descendants of West African slaves brought to the Americas. They are part of a history of Africa that rivals any in the world. They come from a history that is real. They come from beautiful sub-Saharan African cultures. Black Americans have made many contributions to the United States, and they fought hard to overcome slavery. There is no need for any Black American to culture vulture on Native America to build pride in themselves. Ethnocentrism, that is found among some in each minority community, is a response to American and Western pseudo-exceptionalism and colonialism. While Eurocentrism in America is usually driven by white entitlement, misplaced white guilt, and inferior morality complexes, they all suffer from some type of self-hatred.